Stoicism reveals the real secret to the good life. Stay with me as we unveil the hidden treasures buried deep in Stoicism. Have you ever wondered why life feels like a storm you cannot control? Why, no matter how hard you chase happiness, it slips further away from your grasp? The ancients had an answer, and it wasn't found in chasing wealth, power, or fame. It was found in something far more radical: the mastery of the self. This is the wisdom of the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, philosophers who lived through war, exile, slavery, and political chaos, and yet discovered unshakable strength. And today, in a world filled with noise, anxiety, and endless distraction, their wisdom might be the very key to your freedom. Before we begin this deep journey into Stoicism, I want to invite you, if you want to build a stronger mind, if you want to learn how to discipline your emotions, if you want to rise above the chaos of modern life, subscribe now to Stoic Gateway and step through the door into timeless wisdom. Let us begin. Why Stoicism still matters today. When you hear the word Stoicism, you may think of a cold, emotionless philosophy. But the truth is, Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions, it is about mastering them. It is not about withdrawing from life. It is about living it fully, courageously, and wisely. Think about our modern age. We live in the most connected time in history. At any moment, we can reach across the globe with a message, buy something with a click, or watch endless streams of entertainment. Yet with all this abundance, people are more anxious, more depressed, and more uncertain than ever before. Why? Because abundance does not create clarity. Distraction does not create peace. Endless choice does not create freedom. The Stoics lived 2,000 years ago in a world of political turmoil, disease, poverty, and war. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, ruled an empire constantly on the brink of collapse, all while writing in his private journal what we now call meditations, about the need to remain calm, virtuous, and disciplined in the face of chaos. Seneca, a wealthy Roman statesman and tutor to the infamous Emperor Nero, wrote about the dangers of wealth and the fleeting nature of time. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Epictetus, once a slave, discovered that even though his body could be chained, his mind could remain free. He taught his students, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus has the power to control my will." These men lived in conditions far harsher than our own, yet they found a way to live without being enslaved by fear or pleasure. They discovered a philosophy of inner freedom, and that is exactly why Stoicism still matters today. Let's face the truth. We cannot control the world. We cannot control the economy, the political climate, or the people around us. But what we can control is our mind, our judgments, our actions, our choices. This is why Stoicism is exploding in relevance today. When modern psychology talks about resilience, when self-help gurus speak of discipline, when mindfulness teachers preach presence, they are echoing Stoic wisdom that has stood the test of centuries. Search engines are filled with queries like how to control your emotions, how to stop overthinking, how to find inner peace. These are not modern problems, they are eternal problems. And Stoicism provides timeless answers. For example, when you face criticism on social media, Stoicism teaches you, you cannot control what others say, but you can control your response. When you face financial uncertainty, Stoicism teaches, wealth is not in the bank, but in your ability to be content with less. When you feel overwhelmed by the chaos of the world, Stoicism whispers, you are not disturbed by events, but by your judgment of them. This is the first key to understanding why Stoicism matters today. It gives us back our power. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Imagine living by that principle every single day. Imagine if instead of being pulled into every distraction, every argument, every wave of panic the news throws at you, you return to the calm center within yourself, steady, disciplined, unshakable. That is the gift of Stoicism. It is not a dry philosophy locked in old books. It is a practical, living art of the soul. And here's the truth that makes this video matter for you. If you learn how to embody Stoicism, you will not only live with greater peace, but you will stand out in a world of chaos. Because strength is rare, discipline is rare, inner calm is rare, and what is rare becomes powerful. So why does Stoicism still matter today? Because the human condition has not changed. We still fear, we still desire, we still struggle with the same storms of the soul. And in the wisdom of the ancients, we find a compass pointing us back home. Now we go to the core of Stoic idea: control, acceptance. At the heart of Stoicism lies a single, powerful truth. A truth that has the power to free you from anxiety, anger, and despair. It is called the Dichotomy of Control. This idea, first expressed clearly by Epictetus, divides life into two categories. What is within our control? Our thoughts, our actions, our choices, our attitudes. What is outside our control? The opinions of others, the economy, the weather, the passage of time, even our own health and reputation. Think about how much of our suffering comes from fighting the second category, the things outside of our control. We rage when someone insults us, but their words are outside our control. We fear the future, but the future is outside our control. We grieve when plans fall apart, yet so much of life was never within our grasp to begin with. Epictetus said it best: happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. This is the Stoic secret. Instead of wasting energy, resisting reality, we shift our focus to what is truly ours: our mind, our virtue, our discipline. A modern example. Imagine you've been preparing for a big presentation at work. You rehearse, you plan, you deliver it well, but your boss still criticizes you in front of others. Now, most people react with anger, embarrassment, or self-doubt. But the Stoic asks, which part of this is within my control? The boss's reaction? Outside your control. The opinions of others? Outside your control. Your own preparation, composure, and dignity? That is within your control. This shift changes everything. Instead of becoming a prisoner of other people's reactions, you reclaim your power by focusing on your own conduct. Marcus Aurelius reminds us in Meditations, if you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. Acceptance is strength, not weakness. But here's something crucial. Acceptance does not mean weakness. It does not mean shrugging and giving up. It means aligning yourself with reality so you can act with clarity. Consider a sailor. The sailor cannot control the wind, but he can control his sails. If he fights the wind, he will be destroyed. If he accepts it and adjusts, he can still steer his course. This is Stoicism in action. The world will throw storms your way. People will betray you. Fortune will rise and fall. Your health will waver. But within all of this, you still have the power to choose how you meet it. That is your sail. That is your strength. The psychological power of Stoicism. Modern psychology has confirmed what the Stoics knew long ago. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most effective treatments for anxiety and depression, is rooted in Stoic insights. When therapists help patients reframe their thoughts, when they teach that we suffer not from events but from how we interpret them, they are echoing Epictetus almost word for word. In fact, search any forum and you'll find people asking, how do I stop overthinking? How do I stay calm? How do I control my anger? The answer has been here all along. Accept what you cannot control and master what you can. Living the dichotomy of control. How do we apply this daily? Start with small practices. Traffic jams. You cannot control the traffic, but you can control your attitude. Will you rage, or will you use the time to breathe, reflect, or listen to something meaningful? Social media arguments. You cannot control others' opinions, but you can control whether you waste your time engaging. Illness. You cannot control getting sick, but you can control how you endure it with bitterness or with dignity. Epictetus advised his students to rehearse this truth constantly. When something happens, the only thing in your power is your attitude toward it. You can either accept it or resist it. Resistance brings suffering. Acceptance brings peace. The freedom of letting go. Here's the paradox. When you finally accept what you cannot control, you become more powerful than ever. Why? Because you stop wasting energy. You stop fighting battles that cannot be won. You direct your strength only toward what is possible. This is why Epictetus said that even a slave could be free, and even an emperor could be enslaved. Freedom has nothing to do with chains, wealth, or status. It is an inner state. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You can be invincible if you enter no contest in which it is not within your power to conquer." Think about that. You become invincible when you stop fighting over things you cannot win. Instead, you only fight the battles of the soul. Discipline over laziness, courage over fear, wisdom over ignorance. And in these battles, victory is always within your reach. A Stoic challenge for you. Here is a challenge. For the next 24 hours, every time something bothers you, ask yourself, is this within my control? If yes, act with discipline. If no, release it. You will be amazed at how much lighter life becomes. You will see how much time we waste clinging to things that were never ours to begin with. This is the Stoic path. Clarity, strength, acceptance, Stoicism, and the power of the mind. The Stoics believed that the true battlefield of life is not out there in the world, but in here in the mind. Armies may march, fortunes may collapse, people may betray us, but the one thing that can never be taken away is the fortress of the mind. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And how true that is today. Think about how much of your anxiety is not about what's happening right now, but about what might happen in the future. We create storms in the mind, and then we drown in them. The Stoics understood this weakness of human nature and created tools to counter it. Negative visualization. Preparing for loss. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is called negative visualization. It may sound dark, but it is the key to gratitude and resilience. Here's how it works. Imagine losing the things you love: your job, your health, even the people closest to you. Not to sink into despair, but to remind yourself of two truths. First, that nothing is permanent, and second, that what you have now is precious beyond measure. Seneca advised, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." By imagining loss, we become stronger. We train the mind to accept that fortune is fleeting, and in doing so, we learn to cherish the present moment with deeper intensity. In a world obsessed with constant growth, achievement, and more, negative visualization is the antidote. It brings you back to gratitude. Instead of living in the endless pursuit of what you lack, you awaken to the miracle of what is already here. Memento Mori, remember death. Another Stoic cornerstone is Memento Mori, the remembrance of death. Now many recoil at the thought of death, but the Stoics saw it differently. They believed that keeping death in mind is the surest way to live fully. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Think about how powerful that is. Imagine if you lived every day as if it might be your last. Would you waste it scrolling endlessly through social media? Would you spend it trapped in petty arguments? Or would you live with purpose, gratitude, and love? Memento Mori is not about being morbid. It is about awakening. It is about realizing that life is not endless, and therefore every moment matters, training the mind against fear. The Stoics knew that fear is the great enemy of freedom. Fear of pain, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of death. These fears enslave us. But the Stoics also knew that fear dissolves when you look it directly in the eye. Epictetus taught his students to ask, is this thing I fear truly unbearable? Or is it simply my imagination that makes it so? Most of the time, fear exaggerates. The reality, when it comes, is never as terrible as the mind makes it. And when it is terrible, when it truly is painful or tragic, the Stoic remembers that courage, dignity, and endurance are still within our control. This is why the Stoics practiced exposing themselves to small discomforts. Seneca, despite his wealth, would sometimes sleep on the ground and eat the simplest food, asking himself, is this what I feared? By rehearsing poverty, he stripped it of its terror. You can do the same today. Spend a day without luxury. Turn off your phone. Walk instead of driving. Sleep without comfort. You will find that the fears of loss lose their sting, and you will discover strength you didn't know you had. The mind as your kingdom. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire of his time. Yet he wrote, the universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Even an emperor understood that power, wealth, and status are meaningless without mastery of the mind. This is why modern seekers are turning to Stoicism in droves. Search for phrases like, how to control your emotions, how to build mental toughness, how to stop negative thoughts, and you'll find countless people searching for exactly what the Stoics already mastered. The Stoics teach us that the mind, when disciplined, becomes unshakable, and when unshakable, it becomes free. The Stoic inner practice. Here are some simple daily practices to strengthen your mind. Morning reflection. Before the day begins, remind yourself, today I will meet people who are selfish, arrogant, jealous, and ignorant, but I will not be harmed, for I control my own soul. This prepares you for the world. Negative visualization. Take 5 minutes to imagine losing what you have. Not to despair, but to cultivate gratitude and strength. Evening journaling. Like Marcus Aurelius, write down your thoughts at night. What did you do well? Where did you fail? What will you improve tomorrow? Voluntary discomfort. Occasionally, deny yourself luxury. Fast, simplify, or endure mild hardship. Train your mind to be free from dependence. Memento Mori. Remember death. Not to fear it, but to honor life. These practices are not abstract. They are weapons for the soul. They turn anxiety into calm, fear into courage, weakness into resilience. The Stoic fire. Let me tell you this. The Stoic mind is like fire. Throw anything into it, insults, losses, hardships, failures, and it transforms them into fuel. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is the essence of Stoicism. Life will always throw obstacles in your path. But to the Stoic, the obstacle is not the end, it is the way forward. Every challenge is a chance to grow. Every loss is a reminder of impermanence. Every hardship is a training ground for the soul. And when you begin to see life this way, you become unstoppable. Stoicism as the antidote to ego, desire. One of the greatest enemies of human freedom is not pain, but pleasure. Not suffering, but desire. Because pain may strike us occasionally, but desire follows us everywhere. The Stoics saw desire as a subtle chain that enslaves the mind. Wealth, luxury, pleasure, status, recognition. These are not bad in themselves, but when you become dependent on them, when you begin to believe your happiness is tied to them, you have given away your freedom. Seneca warned, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." Think about this. How many people chase endless upgrades, a better car, a bigger house, the newest phone, and yet never feel satisfied? How many scroll endlessly through social media, desperate for likes and validation, only to feel emptier after each post? The Stoics understood this trap long before Instagram or consumer culture existed. They saw that the pursuit of pleasure without discipline leads not to freedom, but to slavery. Ego, the invisible enemy. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor surrounded by power and praise, wrote in his journal, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." This is the tragedy of ego. We live as if the opinions of strangers matter more than the integrity of our own soul. We spend years polishing an image, while the inner self decays. The Stoic solution? To withdraw your dependence on external praise and focus only on virtue. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Imagine the freedom of no longer being ruled by the need to impress others. Imagine living not for applause, but for inner excellence. That is Stoicism. Desire as the endless trap. Desire is infinite. No matter how much you consume, you will always crave more. Seneca wrote, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." In other words, the more you indulge in endless pleasures, the weaker you become when life inevitably takes them away. The Stoics trained themselves to enjoy pleasure when it came, but not to depend on it. They practiced voluntary poverty, ate simple meals, wore simple clothes, and reminded themselves that wealth is not found in possessions, but in character. Modern connections, consumerism, and social media. Now, let's bring this ancient wisdom into today's world. Look around you. Billions of dollars are spent every year on advertising designed to make you feel inadequate. The message is always the same. You are not enough until you buy this. Social media amplifies this message by creating a marketplace of ego. We are shown curated lives of wealth, beauty, and perfection. And what do? We compare ourselves. We crave what others have. We chase validation through likes and comments. This is not freedom. This is slavery in its most sophisticated form. Chains not made of iron, but of desire. The Stoics give us the antidote. They whisper, "You are already enough." Happiness does not come from adding, but from subtracting. Peace is not in what you consume, but in what you can do without. The Stoic art of indifference. One of the most radical Stoic practices is called indifference. Not cold detachment, but a clear-eyed refusal to be ruled by externals. The Stoics divided things into two categories: virtue, wisdom, courage, justice, self-discipline, the only true goods. Indifference, wealth, fame, pleasure, even health, things that may be preferred, but are never essential. This doesn't mean you must reject pleasure or avoid wealth. It means you use them wisely without being possessed by them. As Seneca said, "It is not the man who has little, but the man who desires more, that is poor." So if fortune gives you wealth, use it for good. If pleasure comes, enjoy it moderately. But if they vanish tomorrow, you remain unshaken. That is freedom, building true strength. Here's the paradox. When you detach from desire, you actually enjoy life more. Why? Because you are no longer clinging. You are no longer living in fear of loss. You taste pleasure fully, but without slavery. You experience wealth without becoming dependent. You engage with people without being desperate for their approval. This is why Stoicism is more powerful than ever in today's world. In a culture of excess, the person who is disciplined shines like a star. In a marketplace of ego, the one who is humble stands apart. In a society addicted to consumption, the one who needs little becomes the strongest of all. If you're tired of being ruled by ego, tired of being enslaved by endless desire, then I invite you to join this journey deeper into wisdom. Subscribe to Stoic Gateway and share this video with someone who needs to hear these words today. And comment below, "I choose virtue over desire." Let's remind ourselves that true wealth comes not from possessions, but from mastery of the self. The Stoic way forward. To live stoically is to live free. Free from the chains of desire. Free from the opinions of others. Free from the endless chase of ego. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, constantly reminded himself, "Fame is but smoke, wealth is but dust, pleasure is fleeting, only virtue endures." And this is what makes Stoicism so revolutionary, even today. Because in a world that tells you happiness is always somewhere else, Stoicism teaches you it is already within you. Building the Stoic life. Philosophy is meaningless if it stays trapped in books. The Stoics believed philosophy is not just something to be studied, but something to be lived. They were not professors in ivory towers, but men who faced hardship, exile, slavery, and power, and tested their philosophy in the fire of life. So how can we build a Stoic life today? What daily practices, habits, and disciplines can help us embody their wisdom in our modern world of chaos and distraction? Let's break it down. Morning. Begin with the mind. Marcus Aurelius would begin each day reminding himself of the challenges ahead. He wrote in Meditations, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, 'Today I will meet people who are interfering, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and selfish. They are like this because they cannot tell good from evil.'" This wasn't pessimism, it was preparation. He armed his mind against disappointment so that when people inevitably failed him, he was not shocked or broken. You can do the same. Each morning, take a few minutes to reflect. What challenges will I face today? Who might test my patience? What temptations may weaken my discipline? By preparing the mind, you disarm the sting of surprise. Midday, practicing the dichotomy of control. As the day unfolds, the Stoic returns to the central practice, focusing only on what is within their control. In moments of frustration, traffic, delays, Criticism pause and ask, is this within my control? If yes, act with wisdom. If no, let it go. This small habit, repeated daily, transforms the mind. Over time, you will notice that the storms that once shook you begin to pass harmlessly, like waves breaking against a rock. Evening, the Stoic Journal. At night, the Stoics engaged in reflection. Seneca described it like a courtroom trial. He would review his day and ask himself, what did I do well? What could I improve? What did I fail at? This practice is the foundation of self-mastery. The Stoic does not wait for others to judge him, he becomes his own judge. And through this honest reflection, he sharpens his character like a blade. You can practice this easily. Each evening, before bed, write in a journal, what am I grateful for today? Where did I lose control of my emotions? How can I improve tomorrow? This transforms each day into a lesson. The practice of voluntary discomfort. The Stoics believed that comfort weakens the soul, while hardship strengthens it. That is why they practiced voluntary discomfort. Seneca would fast, sleep on the ground, and wear coarse clothing, even though he was wealthy. Why? To remind himself that happiness does not depend on luxury. He wrote, set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, is this what I feared? We can do the same today. Try fasting for a day. Try turning off your devices. Try walking instead of driving. Try sleeping without luxury. You will discover that the things you fear losing have less power over you than you imagined. And with this, your strength grows. Memento Mori. Living with death in mind. The Stoic constantly remembers that life is fragile and fleeting. Not to fall into despair, but to awaken to the urgency of living. Every moment wasted in anger or vanity is a moment you will never get back. Every day lived without purpose is a day gone forever. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. If you carried this awareness with you, if you lived each day as if it might be your last, how much more urgently would you live? How much more grateful would you be? Stoicism in the modern world. The beauty of Stoicism is that it adapts to any time, any culture, any life. Whether you are a student, a parent, an entrepreneur, or a leader, its principles remain the same. In business, Stoicism teaches you to focus on effort, not outcome. In relationships, Stoicism teaches you to love without clinging and to accept others as they are. In hardship, Stoicism teaches you to endure with dignity. In success, Stoicism teaches you humility and moderation. And this is why Stoicism continues to rise in popularity today. Search engines overflow with questions like, how to stay calm under pressure, how to build discipline, how to stop caring what others think. These are timeless struggles, and the Stoics provide timeless solutions. Building the Stoic life is building freedom. To live stoically is to live free. Free from anger, free from fear, free from the endless cravings of desire, free from the fragile ego that depends on the opinions of others. This does not mean you become detached or cold. On the contrary, Stoicism makes you more alive, more present, more capable of love and service. Because when you are no longer ruled by fear or desire, you can give yourself fully to the present moment, to virtue, to the good of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That is the ultimate call of Stoicism. Not to debate endlessly, not to drown in theory, but to embody wisdom, discipline, courage, and justice here, now, in your daily life. The timeless flame of Stoicism. We have walked through the core pillars of Stoicism, from the dichotomy of control, to the power of the mind, to the dangers of ego and desire, and finally, to the daily practices that shape a Stoic life. But what does it all come down to? It comes down to this. Life is short. The world is chaotic. And most of what happens is outside of our control. But within this storm, there is one thing that always belongs to you: your mind, your choices, your virtue. Marcus Aurelius ruled the greatest empire of his time. Yet his journal was not filled with conquests, but with reminders to himself not to be ruled by anger, not to be seduced by pride, not to waste his life in trivial pursuits. He wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good." Seneca, despite his wealth and political power, reminded himself and his readers that time is our most precious possession. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. His words cut through centuries to remind us that each moment matters. Epictetus, born a slave, crippled in body, but unbroken in spirit, taught that freedom is not given by fortune, but claimed by the soul. You may fetter my leg, but my will, not even Zeus himself, has power over that. These men lived 2,000 years ago, but their voices echo as if they are speaking directly to us, here and now, in a world of social media, consumerism, distraction, and anxiety. Their wisdom is a torch, and it is passed down through the ages to reach your hand. The question is, will you carry it? Living the Stoic life today. To be Stoic today does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means living in the world with strength, clarity, and discipline. When chaos erupts, you remain calm. When desire whispers, you remain disciplined. When fear threatens, you remain courageous. When life shifts, you remain anchored. You become a rock in the storm, a fire that transforms obstacles into fuel, a soul unbroken by the rise and fall of fortune. This is the true promise of Stoicism. It is not about being cold or detached. It is about being so rooted in virtue that nothing outside can shake your inner peace. The Stoic Gateway Challenge. I want to challenge you. For the next week, live with Stoic intention. Begin each morning with reflection, preparing for the day ahead. Pause in moments of frustration to ask, is this within my control? End each evening with a journal of gratitude and reflection. Remember daily, Memento Mori, you could leave life at any moment. So live with purpose. Do this, and you will feel a shift. Not overnight, but steadily, like the rising of the sun. Your mind will grow stronger, your emotions calmer, your life more purposeful. This is the Stoic way. If this journey through Stoicism has inspired you, if you feel the call to live with greater strength, discipline, and wisdom, then I invite you to take the next step. Subscribe now to Stoic Gateway. This is not just a channel, but a community dedicated to unlocking the wisdom of the ancients for the struggles of today. Like this video, share it with someone who needs strength, and comment below, I walk the Stoic path. Let the world know you are not just a listener, but a practitioner. Let us close with the words of Marcus Aurelius, words that can guide us through every storm. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And with Seneca's reminder, a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. And finally, Epictetus's unshakable truth. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. These are not just words. They are a way of life. So as you leave this video, remember, you do not control the world, but you control your mind. You cannot stop death, but you can live fully. You cannot silence chaos, but you can stand unshaken within it. This is Stoicism. This is your path. This is your gateway. Check out the next video coming up. There we dive even deeper into the hidden teachings of Stoicism. See you there. Welcome to Stoic Gateway.